kid, like, put a net out on the street and start playing ball hockey, right? So
Yeah.
that's where it starts off. And then through elementary school and high school, just keeping myself busy, joining teams. I got a knack for it. So, I kept joining the
Yeah.
teams. And then around the age of, I would say 13 or 14 is when I found cricket. Like my dad, being an Indian parent, cricket crazy. So it was kind
Yeah.
of, I had no choice but to like it, and played a little bit, and I sort of took to it pretty well. And so I sort of always had a sport for every season, which I think is really important. And that's kind of another story for itself in terms of like early sports specialization. But I sort of, yeah, I had a sport for every season, and that sort of kept me active.
So
And
so what was your routine, let's say like 10 years ago? Like
let's say,
what were the different sports in each season?
all right, so let's say high school, getting into the later years of high school, it would be about, the first semester would be your volleyball. And that was my main one, right? And then you get
Yeah.
into the second semester, and then be like co-ed volleyball, badminton, and baseball. So you do that second semester, and then by the end of that semester, I guess the cricket season would start up, and then
Right.
that basically would take over my summer. Like I didn't have a life from, in high school. My
Yeah.
summer, I didn't want to go anywhere because cricket, first of all, is like it's an 8 hour game. So like that's my weekends gone. And as juniors, we would basically be playing the whole weekend. So let's say you're
Right.
playing a junior game, which would go on for 3 to 4 hours. So that would happen like 8 o'clock in the morning to about 12:30, and then
Yeah.
you jump in somebody's car, jet across town, and then you go play a senior game, which is about 12:30 to about 8 o'clock in the evening, and then you do that again on Sunday, and then you
Yeah.
jump back to practice on Tuesday, Thursday. So that's how I sort of kept moving through the summer at that age. And so like a lot of like the training would happen in practice, and I never really actively sought out to train, but it was sort of something that happened as a part of the process of being engaged in sports and around people that
Right.
want to be active, and you know
Right. That makes
yeah,
sense. So
yeah.
during that time period, did you see an athletic therapist, a physio, a chiro? Did you have any major injuries at that time?
Funny enough, quite the opposite. Like I played through a lot of the injuries that I had, and I look back on it and go, some of these were so preventable and so manageable, but
Yeah.
like shin splints, for example, right? Like we see that all the time in the clinic now with our
Yeah.
runners and stuff, right? And it's in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, you're never going to get better. I've had shin splints for 10 years, but professionally, I know that if once we intervene with a bit of rehabilitation and exercise, like there's a
Yeah.
process to it that gets better. And in the back of my mind, I go, I should have been on my own case like way
Right.
back then. But so I
Yeah.
can't say I had like an aha moment where it was like, I'm going to jump into rehab because I had an injury, or there's someone that inspired me. It was sort of like an amalgamation of things I was good at, right? I mean,
Right.
I've always been a part of sports. In hindsight, I wish when I took on a university degree, I sort of didn't neglect that side of it. I thought, maybe I should just sort of do a general undergrad and see where that goes. And then
Yeah.
I realized pretty much around like towards the end of my first undergrad that like sports is still going to be a big part of who I plan to be going forward. And
Yeah.
I didn't see that going away, because I would always revert right back to it. My summers, again, like even in
Right.
universities, my summers were cricket, right? I mean, even up until like a couple of years ago, like when we were
Damn.
playing baseball, like I would go play an 8 hour cricket match on a Sunday, and then come see you guys at like 8 or 9 at a diamond somewhere,
Yeah.
play till 11 o'clock at night, and then
And you
try and get out.
pitched too. It was crazy.
And then try and get out to work. So like, um, yeah, it's just always been a part of me. And then when I started to realize that I wanted to be in that atmosphere, and you know,
Yeah.
you know, it sort of kind of clicked for me. And then when I got into AT, it was sort of just like this perfect amalgamation of things I wanted to do and be a part of, which was
Right.
which was great. So yeah,
That's
absolutely,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the same reason why I kind of pursued Cairo.
yeah,
It was like a mix between like, I wrote my MCAT and I did decent on it, but I was like, I really didn't enjoy studying pharmacology, didn't really
right,
enjoy studying the endocrine stuff, the hormones, all that. It
right,
was just like, it wasn't enjoyable. And
yeah,
I almost felt like it was cookie cutter towards the end, where it was like, you see this bacteria, you give them this medication. You see this bacteria, you give them this medication.
yeah,
Like it was very like cookie cutter, and I didn't like that.
yeah,
So towards the end, I was like, I don't have a great relationship with my family doctor. I see
yeah,
them for like 5 minutes, they give me a medication, then I'm out. So I'm
yeah,
like, what can I do that's somewhere between medicine and sports and like still will be fun.
Yeah.
And I was really happy I landed with Cairo, and it was just, I'm lucky. I'm very lucky that, you know, I figured it out.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do after McMaster.
Yeah.
In fact, I was so lost that I was embarrassed to go to my uh, convocation. So I didn't go grab my degree. They just mailed it to me, and I just took it. And I was
Funny
like,
enough,
yeah, because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with the BSc, right? So
same
I was
thing.
like, so that's somewhere I really sat down and I was like, what do I really want to do?
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do something between sports and medicine
Yeah.
that'll still help people and still be in healthcare,
Yeah.
but my parents would still respect me as a doctor. So I chose Dr. Cairo for
Exactly.
that reason. Yeah. So yeah, I just took that on, and I applied, and luckily they had rolling admissions, so I got in, and then I went like literally within like 3 months, and went to school. I didn't have a chance to apply to the Canadian Cairo School because like they take their, I don't know, applications like 10 months.